Okay, BEDMAS. You've heard of it too many times, right? You've heard me refer to it too many times, and I told you we're going to cover it. BEDMAS, you're going to do it over and over and over and over again. It's going to come up multiple times. You need to know it. You need to know the rules, okay? So BEDMAS stands for order of operation. It's like in any job that we do, right? Think about like when people that put cars together, right? They can't start with putting the outside of the car and then putting, like, let's say, the small parts of the engine inside. They have to do it step by step. They have to do it in order so the car comes out as it should come out, right? Even like as making a cake, right? As simple as making a cake. You need to mix your things in a certain order in order for you to come out, for the cake to come up properly, right? Or cooking, or whatever it is, right? So same with math. Any operation that we do, we have to follow a certain rule of operation, okay? So these are sets of rules that we have to follow. And then we use the acronym BEDMAS because that kind of simplifies, so you remember what you need to do first, okay? B stands for brackets. So you always have to simplify brackets or evaluate anything within brackets. So you look at your brackets, can you simplify whatever inside that bracket, okay? That's what you want to do first. Followed by that, you want to do anything that has an exponent. So let's say if you have plus 3 and then times 4 squared, your first step is to evaluate this, okay? Because that's where the brackets are, and then you're going to evaluate inside the brackets. Then you are going to, after you write that step, then you're going to evaluate whatever has an exponent, a power, okay? So you're going to do 4 squared. Then you do the next step, okay? So first inside the bracket, then the exponent. Are we okay with that? All right. After the brackets and exponent, we have the division and multiplication. Now, division and multiplication, it all depends on what appears first from left to right, okay? So if you see division first, then you must do the division first. If you see the multiplication first, then you must do it first, okay? But that happens after you do your brackets and exponents, okay? So let's say I have that same thing, but I'm going to add one more thing to it. I'm going to add divided by 2, okay? I'm going to add division by 2 here, right? So I got my first steps down. Now, if I want to decide what to do next, what happens first, multiplication or division? Multiplication. So I must do the multiplication first, find the answer for this, okay? I think that's 80. And then do the division. Because this is the order of operation. It is. Okay? But if that was written differently, if I had the division first and then a multiplication, then you have to do the division first, then the multiplication. Okay? Always brackets and exponents go first. Brackets goes first, then the exponent. Then after that, you're going to look where you have multiplication and division, and then it happens, whatever appears first happens first, okay? Addition and subtraction are the last thing you want to do, okay? And then you add and subtract your terms together, okay? So let's look at some examples. Actually, let me see here. So let's look at this one. Is 3 plus 6 times 2 minus 8 equal to 7 or 10? That's the question. So looking at BEDMAS, what should you do first? The multiplication. Do I have any brackets? No. Do I have any exponents? No. So the next thing I have either multiplication or division. Which one do I have? I have multiplication, so I have to perform the multiplication. So I have to perform the 6 times 2 first. Okay? I'll leave everything else the same. So 3 plus 6 times 2 is 12 minus 8. Does that make sense? Okay, now what I have to, now as you can see, it's only 3 plus 12 minus 8. Okay, so it's only addition and subtraction I have left. So I can do it all together. You can put it all together on the calculator, or you can do it by in your head. So 3 plus 12 is 15. Take away 8, that leaves me with 7. So the answer is 7. Okay? Now let's see if I did not follow BEDMAS. Okay, don't do that. So if I don't follow BEDMAS and I want to follow from left to right, right? 3 plus 6 is 11. 3 plus 6 is 9. Look at me. I have 9 times 2 minus 8. 9 times 2 is 18 minus 8. 18 minus 8 is 10. Now, you see that if you don't follow BEDMAS, you're going to get the wrong answer. Okay? So that's why it's important to follow BEDMAS. Okay, you're going to get like, again, think about anything. A doctor, right? If they want to do an operation, they can't stitch you before they open you and do the operation, right? It has to make sense. It has to follow a certain order. All right? Now, this one right here, I have 11 plus 7. That line is a division, okay? Divided by 9 minus 3, okay? This right here, it's not the same thing as writing this. Because technically this is, you have to put brackets on the top and brackets on the bottom. So technically this is the same thing as writing this. Okay? So whenever you have that big line, you want to do the top by itself, you want to do the bottom by itself, then you want to do your division. Okay? So you're going to treat this. You want to treat this as I have brackets on top and brackets on the bottom. Okay? So what's 11 plus 7? 18. Over 9 minus 3 is 6. Now, on the calculator, you're going to do 18 divided by 6, which is 3. Okay? It's so weird the way they wrote it. There's different ways that you can write multiplication and division, right? And this is one of them.
Well, no, it's just weird that you're not really following BEDMAS. Like, it seems backwards.
I am, but the thing is that they didn't put the brackets. But because I have this, you assume that there's brackets on the top and on the bottom.
Would it be different if there were, or is it the same question?
If I wrote it like this, it's the same thing as if I didn't write it. Okay? What would be different? So let's say if I wrote this. That is different than this.
Oh, because you could do the same.
Because you have to do the 7 divided by 9 first. But the minute I do this, then now this is similar to this. Okay? All right. Let's look at this question right here. Okay, so I have 5 plus 12 times 8 plus 30 divided by 6 plus 8 minus 5. So always you're going to look, do I have any brackets? No. Do I have any exponents? No. So what appears first then? Multiplication or division? What's happening first? What do you see first? I see 12 times 8. Right?
I thought it was division. Oh, no, because of brain.
It depends on what happens, what show up first. Okay? So in this case, I see the 12 times 8. So I'm going to write 5 plus What's 12 times 8? 96 plus 30 divided by 6 plus 8 minus 5. So I want you to see this. So all what I did so far is the 12 times 8. And that gave me 96. Okay, now what else do I have to do next? The division. So what am I dividing by what? Yeah, so I'm going to put the equal sign on the front. We always start with an equal sign. So 5 plus 96 plus 30 divided by 6, that is 5 plus 8 minus 5. So the next step that I've done is 30 divided by 6, and that gave me 5. Okay? Now you see that it's all addition and subtraction, so I can do it all on the calculator. So what do you get? 109, yep. Because that 5 plus 96, that's 101. And then plus 8 is 109. And then the 5 and the minus 5 cancel each other. We good? All right. Let's look at B. What do you want to do first? Inside the brackets, yes? So 3 minus 5 gives me 2 minus 4. When you see two signs right after each other, you want to get rid of that. What's negative and followed by a negative? Positive. So that's the same thing as writing 2 times negative 2. Yeah? What's 2 times negative 2? Negative 4. That's your final answer. What? That's an exponent. That's that hat that you see there is a power of 2. Okay? You'll see it written differently. This is one of the ways that you might see it. Okay? So what must I do first? Inside the brackets. Yeah? So I have to do 4 minus 2. So that's 2. Then exponent, right? So 2 squared gives me 4. Then what? Multiplication, because I see it first on the left. So that's 24. On the calculator, it's going to give you the right answer, but I want to see your work. Okay? And then you got to divide by 8, so that gives you 3. Do you guys know what that symbol is in D? That's a square root. What's a square root? What's the opposite of addition? Yeah, what's the subtraction? What's the opposite of multiplication? What's the opposite of square? Square root. Square root. Square means to the power of 2. Yeah? So the opposite of the power of 2 is the square root. So whenever I want to get rid of the square, the power of 2, I have to square root. Okay? So this is a symbol that represents the square root. Okay? Now, when I have a square root that looks like this, and then there's numbers under it, I have to do the math that's under the square root first, right? And then I perform the square root. Okay? If you can see on your calculator, there should be a square root on your calculator. Okay? So under the square root, right? Think about the square root as like now as the house, and then you want to perform whatever is under it. So what do you do first? Brackets. So that is, what's 18 minus 6? 12. Okay, then? That's right. So when you see 3 bracket 12, that means you're multiplying the 3 by the 12. Okay? So 3 times 12 is 36. Okay? Now I want you on the calculator to find that square root button and then do square root of 36. 6. Okay? Why is that? Because I want you to pay attention for a second. If I look at 6 squared, what does that give me? 6 to the power of 2. What is that? 36. So when I take the square root of 36, it's going to give me 6. Okay?